Welcome to this module of accident investigation procedures. Before we start, let us have a look at what we had studied in the previous modules. We had gone through about the accidents. We have find out some facts about the accidents. We had a discussion about the accident weed, accident studies, accident those who are near misses, and we had a discussion about various dangerous occurrence, and we have gone through about the outcomes of accidents. In the previous module, we have discussed about the various accident causation theories. So, in this particular module, we are going to discuss the different aspect of accident investigation. We will ask several questions related to the accident investigation. So, the first question in this aspect is that what is an accident investigation? So, the accident investigation is a process that allows management to identify and evaluate the true causes of an accident or incident, so that it cannot be repeated in subsequent protocols or subsequent steps, or the scenario cannot be repeated. Now, it is used to formulate the solution to the underlying problems so as to avoid or minimize any kind of future accident from the same source. Now, if we choose not to investigate the accident, we are destined to repeat them over and over. Now, this may become a very dangerous scenario. Now, accident investigation is one of the fundamental principle of loss control management, because ultimately in previous modules we had a discussion about the hazard, safety, etc. Then we told you that the concept of safety has changed to the loss control management system. Now, this loss control management system attributes towards the economic losses. So, whenever you are performing any kind of plant design, layout design, etc., you cannot overlook the importance of those safety aspects. So, that is why it is called the fundamental principle of loss control measurement. Now, the question is that how we can go ahead with this accident investigation. So, the things is that all supervisors, they need to be aware of the need for and the benefit of an effective accident investigation program. They should also be provided with the skills to consistently and thoroughly investigate the workplace accident and incident, and they should be provided a training so that they can analyze those near misses which we had discussed in the previous module, so that they not only investigate the accident, but they should be in a position to prevent those accidents. So, it is an important part of any safety management system. Now, it highlights the reason why accidents occur and how we can prevent them. The primary purpose of any accident investigation is to improve the health and safety performance by various steps. One step may be the exploring the reason for the event and identifying both the immediate and underlying causes. The second is the identifying remedies to improve the health and safety management system by improving risk control, preventing a reoccurrence of and reducing the financial losses. Then the question may be asked that what to investigate. Remember, all accidents, whether major or minor, are caused. So, the serious accident have the same root cause as minor accident, as to do the incident with the potential for serious loss. Now, it is these root causes that bring about the accident. The severity is often a matter of chance. Now, just let me recall you about the Bhopal gas tragedy. because the MIC was leaked, and just because of the wind direction, the accident became more and more serious. So, it was a matter of fact that or matter of chance that the severity is on the extreme side. So, accident studies they have shown that there is a consistently greater number of less serious accidents than the serious accidents, and the same way a greater number of incidents than accidents. So, if you recall that we have studied about the accident pyramid, there are larger number of near misses, there may be certain things those we have investigated, and then we have taken the certain remedial measures, and this attributes the serious accidents. This may be some minor accidents. So, this last line that the consistently greater number of less serious accident than the serious accidents. So, this number is on the higher side compared to this one. Now, question is that what are the benefits of accident investigation? Now, some of the benefits of the accidents investigations are that prevention of future or similar losses. Accident investigation helps in contribution to the bottom line. They helps in reduction of human suffering or environmental suffering. They led to the continuous improvement of the process. Now, if you recall the previous module, we had framed several set of questions. Now, these the answer to those several questions, they are for the betterment of or improvisation of the process. Now, if their answer is yes, then definitely you have to take the corrective measures. So, that is the plus point of any kind of accident investigation. Now, another question, or you can say the more systematic question is asked, that what is the difference between the accident investigation and analysis? Then the question may be asked that what is the purpose of an OSHA investigations? OSHA stands for Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Now, first thing is that determine what happened to see if an employer violated any kind of safety rules, because these safety rules are framed for the benefit of employee, benefit of mankind, or benefit of the environment. So, what happened to see if the employer, those who have violated the safety rules? These rules again, these rules are framed to look into the local conditions or national conditions, etc. Now, to gain the greatest benefit, why does the employer conduct the accident analysis? This is again a very good question. The first thing is that determine what happened to see the safety management system weakness exist. Now, a question arises that when to conduct an accident or incident investigation. Now, we have already studied in last module that all incident, whether they are near miss or an actual injury related event, should be investigated. So, these near miss reporting and investigation allow you to identify and control hazard before they cause a more serious accident. Now, to find out those near misses, you must have a proper safety knowledge, you must have a proper safety commitment, and you must have a proper safety training. Only then you will be in a position to identify those near misses. So, accident or incident investigations, they are tool for uncovering the hazard that either were missed earlier or have managed to slip out the control planned for them. Now, it is useful only when done with the aim of discovering every contributing factor to the accident incident to foolproof the condition and or the activity and the other preventive future occurrence. So, in other words, your objective is to identify the root causes, not to primarily set blame. Remember, while you are identifying the root cause, You should not wait for an accident. Now, another question is that who should do the accident or incident investigation? The usual investigator for all incident is the supervisor in charge of the involved area or activity or facility. Now, it generally represent a good way to involve employees in the safety and health, because it's not a one man show, it's a team effort. So, sometimes a worker of the lower side may give you proper information or more information about the near misses and the faulty things, etc., at the process arena. So, the employee involvement will not only give you additional expertise and insight, but in the eyes of the worker will lend credibility to the result. So, it tends a psychological factor also. Then the employee involvement also benefits the involved employees by educating them on potential hazard, and the experience usually makes them believers in the importance of safety. So, you may strengthening the safety culture in the organization by adopting this particular aspect. Now, the safety department or the person in charge or the safety officer, in other words, or those who are involved in the safety and health operation, they should participate in the investigation or review the investigative findings and recommendations. So, many units or companies, they use a team or subcommittee or the joint employee management committee to investigate incidents involving serious injury or extensive property damage. Then question arises that whether we should impart training for accident investigation or not. Remember, no one should investigate incident without appropriate accident investigation training, because sometimes they may misinterpret the facts. So, many safety and health consultants and the professional organization provide this type of training. So, before committing any kind of resources to training, one might want to check the course content against the information found in various kind of authorities. One of the foremost authorities in Indian context is the National Safety Council. This may be represented as the accident investigation, a new approach. Now, this incident investigation is a 6-step process. Now, these the various steps, those involved in the accident investigations, they are enlisted over here. That is the collect information. The second is the analyze all kind of the causes. You may assess the future accident potential. The fourth one is the developed corrective action. Fifth is the report data and recommendation. The sixth one is the take corrective action and monitor. So, let us start with the first step. The first step said the collect all kind of information. Now, there may be various issues related to the collecting information. So, let us take the first issue on site. Now, this on site information covers that securing the scene. So, once we have an accident or incident to investigate, the several activities will take place at the actual site scene. So, you need to have answer for various questions. When is it appropriate to begin the investigation? Where the effective methods, what are the effective methods to secure an accident scenes? Now, the securing the scene is again important, and you can see that sometimes they may be cordoned off with this yellow tape. The reason is that sometimes if it is a deliberated event or it is being involved by the sabotage, or There may be certain issues related to the management failure, certain issues related to the compensation issues. Sometimes the people may try to hide the facts. So as quickly as you are securing the scene, or you securing you are securing the plant arena or accidental arena, then you may protect the things to be destroyed or altered. Now, in this particular aspect, sometimes it may happen maybe because of certain medical issues, or sometimes maybe because of other environmental issues, the authorities may take corrective measures a priori. So, proper securing of scene is essential. Sometimes the debris may be dislocated from the place of accident, because all these debris may give you a proper source or a vital source of information for the accident investigation. So, the securing of a scene is extremely important. Now, other thing is that the investigating or investigation at the scene or at the stop, but now if warranted by the circumstances, the scene may need to be barricaded and the physically segregated against the further injury, or merely to preserve the scene for the initial investigation. Now, sometimes it may happen that if the barricading or segregation is not performed, then the building or anything, suppose if accident took place related to the fire, so it may weaken the building, and if it is not been properly barricaded or segregated, sometimes it may fall and it may create the further losses. So, the list methods to document the scene and collect data about what happened. Now, you have to be very clear that what kind of documents will you be interested in reviewing and why. Because collecting the unnecessary documents, collecting unnecessary information may sometimes lead to the confusion. Then next aspect is that recording the key information. So, these information will be largely determined by the nature of the accident. So, sometimes you may enlist various kind of equipment what are needed for recording of those information, maybe camera, maybe other kind of secured bags, etc. So, the key factor is that all kind of information, whatever necessary, may be recorded. Then there are certain issues related to the off-site. Off-site includes that you may interview the key people. When is it best to interview and why? Who should we interview? Then you must have a segregate, or you must have find out, or you must have select the persons to whom you should have an interview and why. Sometimes, for an example, sometimes if any pressure vessel fails, so the person nearby may provide a very vital information. So, you have to select that particular person for interview. Then where should we conduct the interview? Sometimes at the site of the accident, and sometimes because of some psychological reasons, you may call them to some other appropriate place, because it helps that the person may recall the things more smoothly compared to when they are at the site. So, this type of again aspect is extremely important. Now, the considering interviewing to collect the more information about the accident, that is the key point of interviewing the people. Initially, the injured persons or any eyewitness, they may not be in a position to tell you more about the accident, but later on you can, because the prima facie it is essential that the injured person should have a first right to be treated rather than be interviewed. So, every effort should be made to interview any witness, any eyewitness. Now, these witnesses can be a very good source of information regarding the cause of an accident and the conditions those who are associated with it. So, eyewitness, they can provide critical information about an accident as far as the describing the activities and events that led up to the accident itself. Now, witnesses should be interviewed as soon as possible after the accident, provided they are in good physical or mental health. Because sometimes if you have any delay about this interviewing process, then there may be a chance that they may skip or they may forget certain core issues related to that particular accident. So, you record the name, addresses and telephone or contact details of all those witnesses and other persons with information, so that in case if you require further information or further query, then you can easily approach to them. Now, have witnesses document their statements and ask them to date and sign, so that they may not be in a position to change their statement, or it also helps them to recall all their that they have said, they have reported this thing to the investigation team in such a manner. Now, depending on the accident, one may want to also interview others such as the personal manager, maintenance foreman, other supervisory staff and employees. The interview process should include the injured employee if possible, because again the injured employee should get the proper Medicare first. So, do not ask the employee to reenact the accident. Now, as a second accident is possible through the reenactment of process. So, sometimes it may not be a very helpful aspect to reenact the accident. There are certain interviewing tips, like it is important to initially put the witness at ease by carefully explaining the purpose of investigation staff, and it is their right to know that why they are being interviewed. So, interviewing person involved and witnesses to the accident is of prime importance, ideally in familiar surrounding, so as not to make the person uncomfortable. Sometimes if you go there to the accident site, the psychological thing says that they may be a little bit uncomfortable. Now, this process is fact finding in nature and not a means to access blame or discipline the employees. Now, questions when asked should not be intimating that, as the investigator will be seen as aggressive and reflecting a blame culture. So, this should be made clear to them. The interviews should be separate to stop people from influencing each other. So, proper segregation of interviewers be there. Although there may be disciplinary action as the result of the accident, the process is distinctly different than the investigation process, which seeks to obtain the root causes of an accident and propose the solution to identified problem. The person should give an account of what happened in their terms rather than the investigators. Good questioning technique in this particular process is to ask open-ended question, that is a question that cannot be answered with just a one-word response, because all the detailing may be very useful. Now, this technique often provides the investigator with more information than questions that are not open-ended. So, investigating the accident versus disciplining the employee. Now, in all likelihood, the information we have now discovered will have raised a new set of questions about how and why the accident occurred. Now, you may have access past accident history. So, the determining the past accident history with a particular operation machine or a work activity is valuable to evaluating the future accident potential. So sometimes the logbook plays a very vital role, or pre-accident history plays a very vital role. Now, however, this is not only the piece of information to be considered. A series of near misses in particular area will now not show up as a past accident, but may represent a potential for a serious future loss if left unchecked. So, you review the pertinent records so that, because sometimes it may give a very good source of information. Now, reviewing record, you may frame various questions like what were the standard work practice? Have you done the job safety analysis? Because it may lead to the managerial aspect also. Have you read the material safety data sheet? Had you gone through the employee personal record? Sometimes the personal record may give a proper information about the mental stability of the person, then the past job record, etc. Now, if the maintenance logs were up to date, because sometimes in the lacuna in the maintenance log may be the vital source of an accident. Was there any past accident history? And if it is, then what were the corrective measures were taken at the time of those accidents? What actually the inspection record says, because sometimes based on the standard work practice and all kind of safety reviews, the inspection may taken place in at the workplace. So, what actually the inspection record says? Sometimes they may find certain lacuna in the process arena, then was the management in a position to correct them? Does the motor vehicle record show any kind of accident? Because sometimes any kind of fatality or any kind of injury, so motor vehicle record will provide a proper clue, because sometimes the medication or sometimes of medical care may be given, or maybe the injured may be transferred to some hospital, etc. So, motor vehicle record is the best clue to give the proper vital information. Now, let us have a look about the step number 2, that is the determining the cause. The root cause is the most fundamental and direct cause of an accident or incident. There may be one or more contributory causes in addition to the root cause. However, the root cause is one event or condition that participated in that particular accident which you are investigating. Now, the key is that if we were to remove the root cause, the accident would not have occurred. Now, if we remove the contributory cause, the accident still may have occurred, although the severity of that particular accident may be minimized. So, accident investigation is ineffective unless all causes are determined and corrected, and that is why you need to find out the other contributory causes. Now, the categories of root causes are in twofold. They are grouped under the workplace factor or the employee factor. Now, the workplace factor, these are the largely under the control of management. So, in a broad spectrum, you can fix the responsibility of the management. The second is the employee factor. These are under the control of individual employee. Now, the workplace factor, there are some of the example of the workplace factor are as follows: the improper tools and equipment, whatever tools are required, but the management does not supply those tools to the workers. Then inadequate maintenance, that means either management they did not follow the proper maintenance protocol, or they are having the lack of commitment towards this maintenance. Then lack of job procedures. This job procedure may include formation of standard operating practices, availability of the manuals, etc. The poor workstation setup. Sometimes the managerial aspect or workplace factor may include the poor housekeeping. things may be in a shabby condition. Sometimes the solvents or solvents are lying there. Then electrical circuits, they are open without keeping any kind of insulation, etc. Then lack of job supervision. These lack of job supervision may lead sometimes if nobody is caring to that particular arena. Lack of job training. That means the workers, they are not provided with adequate training to handle the scenario. So employer may make every effort to properly train the employee to the safely perform the job, but if the employee decides to take inappropriate risk anyway, the root cause will be classified as an employee factor and not the workplace factor. So some of the example of employee factors are like fitness for duty, substance abuse, fatigue, effect of a medication, emotional distress, etc. So these may be the major contributory aspect. Then failure to apply the training. Sometimes the adaptability may be because of the age, maybe because of the certain psychological factor or emotional factors. The employee may not be in a position to adopt the training being given to them. So this may be clubbed under the head of the failure to apply the training. Then task exceeds the physical and mental capabilities, because sometimes maybe because of the age, maybe because of some other capabilities, they are not coping up with the task given to them. Then the task exceeds to the mental and physical capabilities. Then sometimes some of the employee, they are having the risk taking behaviors. So in that particular case, there may be a chance of or sometimes they may be so innovative that they may be in a position to violate the safety rules. So this type of cause should be recorded. Now let us have an example. If a supervisor directs an employee to lift an item that is too heavy to be safely handled by one person alone, the root cause falls under the workplace factor category, since it is under the direct control of management. Now if however the employee decides on his or her own to lift the same item, because sometimes it may not be physically fit to handle the scenario. Had been instructed by the management to get help in this situation, then the root cause would be the fall under the class of employee factor. Now after answering who, what, where, when and how, initially this step answers why and completes the puzzle. So there are initially 5 whys. 5 whys in an iterative interrogative technique used to explore the cause and effect relationship underlying a particular problem. The primary goal of the technique is to determine the root cause of a defect or problem by repeating the question why. So why, etc. Now each answer of question why forms the basis of the next question. So in 5, the 5 in the name derives from an small story observation that the number of iteration needed to resolve the problem. So after the 5 why have been asked, the answer the key question is simply a screening tool that tells us if we have indeed gotten to the root cause level. The fundamental here is not to stop short of obtaining the root cause. The 5 whys and the key question help us avoid this pitfall in the accident investigation. So when the satisfaction is attained that the investigation is at the root cause level, it is time to propose corrective actions so that the accident is not likely to reoccur. So in this module, we have discussed about the various root causes, and we have discussed about the 2 steps of this accident investigation. In the subsequent module, we will discuss the remaining steps of this accident investigation. Thank you very much.